So this is a practice speech for a presentation that I've got as long as I want, almost. There's 3 hours and I need to fill a section of that, so I've at least got an hour.
I was going to say we finish at 10.
Yeah. So I've got 3 exercises that I'm going to do, and there are 4 elements that I'm not actually going to share in this speech because otherwise it takes too long. I have at least 10 minutes to do all of that. So this is just the content rather than, or the explanation rather than the gritty bit, but I can tell you a bit about the gritty bit in the questions if you want to know more. So this presentation is for next Thursday for a group to support victims of abuse in Penhill.
Oh wow.
Mm.
And for some of you who know, last year I did a presentation at the Wellbeing Festival last February, and that's how I met this lady who set up this group and had asked me whether I'd do a presentation because what I'd said at that meeting resonated with her, and apparently of all the people she spoke to, I was the only one who said yes.
Oh.
So, Chair, fellow speakers and guests, and no guests. A simple phrase, designed to protect, is actually putting lives at risk. Knowing the facts can help you change misinformation and actually help protect you. On a skiing trip with my 7-year-old son in Bulgaria, riding the gondola, I was doing what I usually do, chatting with the other passengers. When the conversation ended, my son said, "Don't you know you're not meant to talk to strangers?" For a second I was taken aback, then my blood boiled. That was one way of keeping warm in the freezing weather. It took me a moment to realise that he'd learnt all about stranger danger at school. They teach this supposedly to protect them, but it's dangerous. We are also conditioned to believe that women are the primary victims of violence. We are told to look out for the boogeyman in the bushes, while ignoring the reality of how violence actually happens. The facts reveal that violent crime has more than halved since the mid-1990s, when it was at its peak. The majority of victims are men. The vast majority of predators are men known to their victims, whatever their gender, and very rarely strangers. In juvenile cases, a staggering 93% of victims knew their perpetrator. Why all this hype about women then? Because when women are attacked, it often involves sexual assault, and it makes front page news, as ever sensationalising the minority. It seems the only reason stranger danger is still bandied about is because it rhymes. This lie undermines our ability to protect ourselves. In The Gift of Fear, Gavin de Becker explains that true intuition is a brilliant internal supercomputer sending you information about what is actually happening in the present. Anxiety, on the other hand, is its enemy. When we are anxious, we are focused on the possibilities of what might happen in the future. which blinds us to the realities of what is happening right now. If you're busy looking for a scary stranger, you might miss the very real warning signs given off by the person standing right next to you. It's because of the way your brain works. When we are on constant high alert for imaginary threats, our brain actually stops functioning properly. It searches for what's called confirmation bias, which, for example, is when you're about to buy another car and you're searching for that make and model, you might start to see it everywhere. Not that there are any more of that type of car about, but your brain is searching for it, and it finds it, and ignores every other type of car. Anxiety narrows your field of vision, literally and metaphorically, just like being on your phone does. Here's a way I can demonstrate this. I would like you to hold your fingers right in front of you and look at your fingers. Just notice what you're able to notice whilst looking at your fingers about the room around you. Now, stay with your focus in front of you, but let your fingers come apart until they reach peripheral vision. And just before your fingers disappear, keep looking ahead of you and notice what you're aware of in the room that you weren't aware of before. So, what did I teach my son instead? Most people you deal with are strangers. Your dentist, the shopkeeper, the waiter, they're safe. The people are here to ski. They make sense in the context. If you are lost and don't have a sat-nav, you might ask a stranger for help. The person you choose to ask will be based on the context they are in and how you feel about them, your instinct. Based on the figures I gave earlier, asking a woman is likely to be safer than a man. I was so glad I shared that story with him that morning, because just before lunch there was an incident in which he fell over without his ski teacher present, long story, and needed help. I dread to think what would have happened if we hadn't had that conversation and he'd stayed lying in the snow, too scared to speak to a stranger and ask for help. Luckily, he got help from what turned out to be an amazing social worker from New Zealand, which I called his guardian angel. She used encouraging, calm, positive language to help him back down the hill, where I had been waiting for some time at the class drop-off point. The indicator isn't whether someone is a stranger. It's context and instinct. Does this person's behaviour fit the situation? Are they respecting your boundaries? If you tell someone no and they ignore it, they are trying to control you. That is a red flag. In his book, De Becker teaches us to look out for pre-attack indicators. These are 4 tools we should be teaching our children and using ourselves. We must empower our children and ourselves to know that no one, not a teacher, not a family friend, not an authority figure, has the right to make us feel uncomfortable. Safety does not come from roles or labels. It doesn't come from attempting to control external circumstances. Safety comes from within, from the knowledge of reality, not scary fantasy. The facts I've just shared with you, and developing the skill of being present, trusting your instinct and acting on it. For this, I will share my 3 favourite simple, easy and effective ways to help you get out of anxiety: square breathing, 5-step centering and tongue twister. Let's stop wasting our time on stranger danger myth. Instead, let's teach what can actually keep us safe. Stay in the present, relaxed, with open awareness. Then you will more likely feel, hear, or see the signs. If something doesn't feel right, ask questions and act on your intuition. If something happens, God forbid, speak up and demand respect. It's vital you and your children are empowered rather than anxious. Don't be polite, be safe. 10 minutes, 45 seconds.
9 minutes 46.
Oh.